Hi guys, my name is Philip Port. Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be speaking about the family visa based on marriage. So I'm going to give you an example of a Russian lady marrying an Englishman who's been employed for 6 months or more. Any other type of visa, that's a different video. So we're going to speak about what supporting documents you need based on the husband in the UK being employed. The most obvious, you need a marriage certificate. It must have the Apostle of The Hague stamped on the back or the equivalent. So let's say you got married in Russia. Zags, where you got married, would do that for you. It takes 3 to 5 days, not expensive, they will do it for you. The front and back of the marriage certificate needs to have a certified translation, if not in English. Now the husband needs to show that he's been working, so the Englishman in the UK needs to show that he's been working for 6 months. So he will need an employment letter. In that employment letter, it must say his position, his start date, his current salary, and how much he's earned for the past year. If the pay slips, because you need 6 months pay slips as well, if they're just printouts from a computer that you do at home or something like that, the employment letter must confirm that they're genuine pay slips as well. So it must say, we confirm that these pay slips are genuine. So what have you got? Employment letter, 6 months pay slips, and you need 6 months bank statements, the last 6 months bank statements, to show the salaries going into the bank account. So these are the 3 things you need for employment. If your husband has a P60, better to include, because it speeds up the process, but it's not essential. But it's better to include them pay slips. Now, if you're from Russia, not all countries, you'll need a tuberculosis test, a TB test. You'll also need an English test, which is Secure English Language Test, CELT. From an approved centre. Just Google it, they'll come up and you book an appointment. You need minimum level A1, it's a simple test, but better to do A2 if your English is good. Then you don't need to repeat the test in England in 2.5 years' time when you come to extend the visa. Then you need to show that you've met. How do you do that? Your husband has visited you in Russia. He's got Russian visas. Photographs must have the names, dates, and locations on the front of the photograph, because it's going to be scanned, they're going to be sent to Sheffield, so they need to see that on the front of the photograph, not on the back. So hotel bookings, flight bookings together, photographs, all these you're going to need to show it's a genuine relationship. And when you've been separated, maybe throw in there a few emails or a few phone records to show that you've remained in contact. Very, very important. Your sponsor must show suitable accommodation for you, the spouse in Russia, going to England, for you and any children. Now, if it's just yourself, it's not going to be a problem. But if you've got kids, you need to show suitable accommodation for them, and boys and girls must have their own room. So if you've got 2 boys and 2 girls, you can actually give them their own room together and they can share. So you would need one room for you and your husband, and if you had 2 boys, you would need one room for 2 boys. If you had a boy and a girl, you'd need a room separate. Very, very important. Anybody who's living at the apartment would also need to give their authorization. So let's say he's got a roommate who's sharing the flat with him. He would need to say, I have no objections to Svetlana staying at the premises. Now, you would need to show, if he's the owner of the property, your husband, you need to show either a mortgage statement, or you would need to show the title deed, or if he's renting, you need to show a tenancy agreement with a separate letter. If your name is not mentioned on that tenancy agreement, you would need a separate letter to say that the landlord has no objections to you staying at that accommodation, to stay with them. Very, very important that you need that. If you've got children, this is where it becomes difficult, because you're going to need your ex-husband's or your former partner's permission for his children to move to the UK. Normally, you would go to the lawyer or the advocate or the solicitor, and you'd write a letter saying, I have no objections to my kids travelling to the UK. If he objects, it's highly unlikely that they would let the children move to the UK unless you can show that you've got sole responsibility. And how you do that is through court papers, through letters from the schools saying only the mother attends parents' meetings, from the doctor to say only the mother visits the doctor with the children. You're going to need quite a lot of documents. If you have children, better contact me, because they're very, very complicated, and you're spending a lot of money for each child and obviously for yourself. I mean, the visas are overseas, the initial application overseas is about £1,600, and the immigration health surcharge is another £1,600. And if them visas are refused, all you get back is the immigration health surcharge. That's all you get. So if you've got if you're sponsoring your wife who has 2 children, you're only going to get, out of £10,000, you're only going to get about half of that back. So that's a big problem. Now, the salary that the husband must earn just for the spouse is £18,600 a year as it stands now. If he's been working less than 6 months, he has to show from 2 employees all that same information. He must show bank statements for a year. He must show employment letter from his previous employer. He must show 6 months bank statements from his previous employer as well. So you're going to need to calculate it over a year. If he's been with the current employer less than 6 months, you then have to do it over a 1 year period. And during that period, if you've got children that is sponsoring, it's about almost £3,000 extra income that he must earn for every child. So £18,600 for you he must have earned, and every child is an extra income. Last but not least, he then must sign 3 declarations saying that he has no objection to the Home Office checking his bank, checking his employers. You get these at the end of the application form. When you complete the application form, you just print them out, and your husband will sign them. And when you submit them, you scan them, and they will go to Sheffield in England, where they make the decisions. Another thing, last thing to mention, is the bank statements must have the official stamp of the bank. If they don't, they have to be originals. And if you don't have the stamp and they're not originals, they're just simple printouts. You need a bank letter to say that these bank statements are genuine. I would get both. I would get the bank letter from the UK bank, 6 months bank statements with the official stamp of the bank. It's very, very important. This is where a lot of people lose huge amounts of money. This is where the biggest refusals are, is based on the bank statements. If you've got any questions, drop me a line. Just send me an email or a message below. I'll happily answer them. I do recommend on these type of visas you use somebody like myself, an immigration advisor, because these application forms are designed to trip you up. A lot of people make mistakes. A lot of people have refusals. and they're very, very expensive when they go wrong. And unfortunately, to keep people like me in a job, there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of things where you can make a mistake. And good for me, not so good for you, but I don't make the rules. If you like the video, please click a like, please subscribe, and please send me any messages if you want any more information. Thank you.